Hey y'all, welcome to Sandy's Library. I'm Sandy.
And I'm Sara. In this video, we're going to take a look at Session 9 of the raw material.
And don't forget about our dogs. They can be noisy sometimes, so please ignore them. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. This is the Law of One, Session 9, original recording date, January 27th, 1981.
I am Ra. I greet you in the love and the light of our infinite Creator. We communicate now.
Q&A number 1. Question. We are definitely going to make the Law of One the primary portion of this book. I apologize for getting sidetracked on these subjects. We're in the position of, shall we say, beating around as to what direction to go with the book to begin with. For this reason, I have asked a few questions and probably will ask a few more questions in the early part of these sessions that will be somewhat meaningless with respect to application of the Law of One because my own ignorance what I'm doing. However, I expect to become more proficient rapidly while we go on. There are a couple of questions that are probably meaningless, but if I could get them out of the way, they're bothering me a little bit. Is it possible for you to suggest a publisher for this book?
I am Ra. No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Honestly, y'all, I'm shocked that Don asked that question. Q&A number 2. Question. Is it possible for you to tell us of anything in our past incarnations, our past experiences before this incarnation?
I am Ra. It is possible. However, such information as this is carefully guarded by your mind, body, spirit, being, totality, so that your present space-time experiences will be undiluted. Let us scan for harmless material for your beingness.
And there is a 20-second pause before Ra speaks again.
I am in the distortion of desire for your freedom from preconception, able to speak only generally. There have been several times when this group worked and dwelt together. The relationships varied. There is balanced karma, as you call it, each thus the teacher of each.
Ross says there's balanced karma between Don, Carla, and Jim. That's an interesting notion, if not a bit peculiar in hindsight. But anyway, back to Ra.
The work has involved healing, understanding the uses of the earth's energy, and work in aid of civilizations which called, just as your sphere has done, and we have come. This ends the material which we consider harmless.
Y'all ever noticed how easy it is for Ra to avoid answering questions, even though they've given a long, drawn-out response that basically says nothing? Nevertheless, on to Q&A number 3. Question. The healing exercises that you gave to us are of such a nature that it is best to concentrate on a particular exercise at a time. I would like to ask at this time what exercise I should concentrate on. Possibly a little exercise change should concentrate on, and y'all, there is of course an inaudible bit before Don ends his query saying, say tonight.
I am Ra. Again, to direct your judgment is an intrusion upon your space-time continuum, distortion called future. To speak of past or present within our distortion judgment limits is acceptable. To guide rather than teach learn is not acceptable to our distortion in regards to teach learning.
Oh, like that ain't what Ra's trying to do. Give me a break. But anyway, back to Ra.
We instead can suggest a process whereby each chooses the first of the exercise given in the order in which we gave them, which you in your discernment feel is not fully appreciated by your mind-body-spirit complex. This is the proper choice, building from the foundation, making sure the ground is good for the building. We have assessed for you the intensity of this effort in terms of energy expended. You will take this in mind and be patient, for we have not given a short or easy program of consciousness learned teaching.
This all feels like a bunch of double talk to me, y'all. Because I resonate with the idea that none of these folks, neither in the Confederation nor in the Orion group, are allowed to direct our judgment, as they say, unless we agree to it pre-incarnation. Q&A number 4. Question. The way I understand the process of evolution of a planetary population is that a population has a certain amount of time to progress. This is generally divided into 3 25,000-year cycles. At the end of 75,000 years, the planet progresses itself. What caused the situation to come about? Preciseness of the years, 25,000, etc. What set this up to begin with?
I am Ra. Visualize, if you will, the particular energy which outward flowing and inward coagulating form the tiny realm of the creation governed by your Council of Saturn.
How come they're calling it our Council of Saturn now? Back to you, Ra.
Seeing the rhythm of this process, the living flow creates a rhythm which is as inevitable as one of your timepieces. Each of your planetary entities began the first cycle when the energy nexus was able in that environment to support such mind-body experiences. Thus, each of your planetary entities is on a different cyclical schedule, as you might call it. The timing of these cycles is a measurement equal to a portion of intelligent energy. This intelligent energy offers a type of clock. The cycles move as precisely as a clock strikes your hour. Thus, the gateway from intelligent energy to intelligent infinity opens regardless of circumstance on the striking of the hour.
Sounds incredibly chaotic, don't it? Q&A number 5. Question. The first entities on this planet, what was their origin? Where were they before they were on this planet?
I am Ra. The first entities upon this planet were water, fire, air, and earth.
See what I mean? Evasive. We all know that's not what Don was talking about. Q&A number 6. Question. The people that we now have, the first people, and y'all, there's an inaudible bit before Don's voice picks back up with, like us. Where did they come from? How did they evolve?
I am Ra. You speak of third density experience. The first of those to come here were brought from another planet in your solar system, called by you the red planet Mars. This planet's environment became inhospitable to third density beings. The first entities, therefore, were of this race, as you may call it, manipulated somewhat by those who were guardians at that time.
At that time? Are they suggesting that those guardians are no longer guardians now? That would suggest the guardians can retire or something. I just don't resonate with that at all. And Ra wants us to believe it was the guardians who manipulated our DNA eons ago. If that's true, then this law of free will that they keep spouting off about in order not to answer some of Don's questions, well, it ain't worth shit then. Not if the guardians can manipulate us. But y'all, I don't resonate with that notion at all. Ra has an agenda here, and it ain't to help mankind neither. Say it with me now. Ra is out to recruit mankind for harvest, and we'd all do well to remember that. Q&A number 7. Question: what race is that? And how did they get from Mars to here?
I am Ra. The race is a combination of the mind, body, spirit complexes of those of your so-called red planet and a careful series of genetical adjustments made by the guardians of that time. These entities arrived or were preserved for the experience upon your sphere by a type of birthing which is non-reproductive but consists of preparing genetic material for the incarnation of the mind-body-spirit complexes of those entities from the red planet.
Honestly, y'all, it sounds like they're talking about the Anunnaki, save the Mars bit. I mean, what they're describing is basically what the Sumerians said the Anunnaki did with humans long time ago. So, what are they saying? That the Anunnaki were the guardians of that time? Honestly, y'all, that idea is a little bit disturbing. Q&A number 8. Question: then I'm assuming what you're saying is that the guardians transferred the race here after the race had died from the physical as we know it on Mars. Is that correct?
I am Ra. This is correct.
There's a lot of double talk going on in this session. If any of it's true, we should all be worried, because that means they let the Martians destroy themselves and then brought them here and made them do it all over again. So, no, I don't think there's anybody out there who's going to save us from ourselves. Let that sink in. Q&A number 9. Question: the Guardians obviously were acting with an understanding of the Law of One in doing this. Can you explain the application of the Law of One in this process? And before we get to Ra's answer, I just want to remind y'all, the Law of One favors neither the light nor the dark. So, in light of that info, let's take a look at Ra's answer.
I am Ra. The Law of One was named by these guardians as the bringing of the wisdom of the guardians in contact with the entities from the red planet, thus melding the social memory complex of the guardian race and the red planet race. It, however, took an increasing amount of distortion into the application of the Law of One from the viewpoint of other guardians.
What do they mean, other guardians? I thought there was just the 24. That's what they said. 24 guardians assisting the Council of 9. Yep, there's some shenanigans going on here, y'all. Nevertheless, back to Ra.
And it is from this beginning action that the quarantine of this planet was instituted, for it was felt that the free will of those of the red planet had been abridged.
From what I can see, y'all, all of these higher density beings, including Ra, are still trying to abridge our free will. For real, Ra's trying to abridge free will by telling us that the Orion group is the one doing it. They're trying to scare us into joining them. And right now, for me personally, I don't trust neither one of them, the Confederation nor the Orion group. Look, y'all, my pineal gland is wide open. And if you don't know about that, take a listen to my third eye video where I talk about it opening up several years ago. And y'all, I've had brain waves and MRI testing after that incident, and all were within the normal range. And since then, I've talked to hundreds of spiritual entities, but I have never, not once, talked to anyone from the Confederation or the Orion Group. Now, here's the kicker. When I start my meditation, I begin by inviting in only benevolent beings who mean me no harm. And it's just very odd to me that no one from either faction has ever tried to talk to me, since I do resonate with the Law of One. And in case y'all hadn't noticed, there's very little real information regarding the Law of One in these sessions so far. Mostly, we're just getting Ra's opinion on the Orion Group and how important it is to Ra, anyway, that they harvest us over the Orion Group. But remember, they also said the Law of One favors neither the light nor the dark. And what the Law of One favors, y'all, is intelligent infinity. And it, like the infinite creator, does not care how you get to it. Q&A number 10. Question. Were the entities of the red planet following the Law of One prior to leaving the red planet?
The entities of the red planet were attempting to learn the laws of love, which form one of the primal distortions of the Law of One. However, the tendencies of these people towards bellicose actions.
Bellicose. Now, there's a word you don't hear every day. It basically means to be aggressive or warlike. So, let's see what Ra says about these bellicose actions.
Caused such difficulties in the atmospheric environment of their planet that it became inhospitable for third density experience before the end of its cycle. Thus the red planet entities were unharvested and continued in your illusion to attempt to learn the law of love.
When they say the red planet entities were unharvested, what they really mean is they had to reincarnate here where they're harvestable again, which, to be honest, seems a little counterproductive to me. And if we're all being honest here, if you want to talk about bellicose actions, the Earth ain't looking too good in that department presently. Know what I mean? But anyway, on to Q&A number 11. Question. How long ago did this transfer occur from the red planet to Earth?
I am Ra. In your time, this transfer occurred approximately 75,000 years ago.
Q&A number 12. Question. 75,000 years ago?
I am Ra. This is approximately correct.
Q&A number 13. Question. Were there any entities of this form that I am now, 2 arms, 2 legs, on this planet before this transfer occurred?
I am Ra. There have been visitors to your sphere at various times for the last 4 million of your years, speaking approximately. These visitors do not affect the cycling of the planetary sphere.
Y'all get that? These visitors that are transferred from Mars, Maldek, and wherever else they might come from, they do not affect the cycling of the planetary sphere. Tag that little tidbit in the back of your mind. Now, back to Ra.
It was not third density in its environment until the time previously mentioned.
Q&A number 14. Question. Then there were second density entities here prior to approximately 75,000 years ago? What type of entities were these?
The second density is the density of the higher plant life and animal life which exists without the upward drive toward the infinite. These second density beings are of an octave of consciousness, just as you find various orientations of consciousness among the conscious entities of your vibration.
Y'all start to see a pattern yet? Don's questions are based in the physical 3D world, while Ra's answers are mostly spiritual. The meanings exist outside the confines of time. Q&A number 15. Question: did any of these second density entities have shapes like ours? 2 arms, 2 legs, head, and walk upright on 2 feet?
I am Ra. The 2 higher of the sub-vibrational levels of second density beings had the configuration of the biped as you mentioned. However, the erectile movement which you experience was not totally affected in these beings, who were tending toward the leaning forward, barely leaving the quadrupedal position.
Q&A number 16. Question: where did these beings come from? Were they a product of evolution, as it is understood by our scientists? Were they evolved from the original material of the earth that you spoke of?
I am Ra. This is correct.
Q&A number 17. Do these beings then evolve from second density to third density?
I am Ra. This is correct, although no guarantee can be made of the number of cycles it will take an entity to learn the lessons of consciousness of self, which are the prerequisite for transition to third density.
Well, if the same applies to fourth density, then some of us are in for a long haul. Q&A number 18. Question: is there any particular race of people on our planet now who were incarnated here from second density?
I am Ra. There are no second density consciousness complexes here on your sphere at this time. However, there are 2 races which use the second density form. One is the entities of the planetary sphere you call Maldek. These entities are working their understanding complexes through a series of what you would call karmic restitutions. They dwell within your deeper underground passageways and are known to you as Bigfoot. The other race is that being offered a dwelling in this density by guardians who wish to give the mind-body-spirit complexes of those who are of this density at this time appropriately engineered physical vehicles, as you would call these chemical complexes, in the event that there is what you call nuclear war.
Well, I know what that last paragraph sounds like to me. Nobody's coming to save us, y'all. I mean, they got a backup plan to reseed the earth in case we nuke ourselves. Let that sink in. But hey, at least now we know where Bigfoot comes from. Q&A number 19. Question: I didn't understand what these vehicles or beings were for that were appropriate in the event of nuclear war.
I am Ra. These are beings which exist as instinctual second density beings, which are being held in reserve to form what you would call a gene pool in case these body complexes are needed. These body complexes are greatly able to withstand the rigors of radiation, which the body complexes you now inhabit cannot do.
So it appears that Ra not only expects some global disaster at some point, but they have a contingency plan to reseed the earth in the event that mankind wipes itself out. Let that sink in. Q&A number 20. Question. Where are these body complexes located?
I am Ra. These body complexes of the second race dwell in uninhabited deep forests. There are many in various places over the surface of your planet.
Q&A number 21. Question. Are they Bigfoot type creatures?
I am Ra. This is correct, although we would not call these Bigfoot, as they are scarce and are very able to escape detection. The first race is less able to be aware of proximity of other mind-body-spirit complexes, but these beings are very able to escape due to their technological understandings before their incarnations here. These entities of the glowing eyes are those most familiar to your peoples.
Q&A number 22. Then there are two different types of Bigfoot, correct?
I am Ra. This will be the final question. There are 3 types of Bigfoot, if you will accept that vibratory sound complex used for 3 such different races of mind-body-spirit complexes. The first 2 we have described. The third is a thought form.
You know, I'm just kind of wondering, is that why people go missing in the forest all the time? Because they're running across these second density beings, and after that, they got to be taken care of? Q&A number 23. Question. We plan to do a second session later today if the instrument is capable, and I'd like to ask, believe this is possible, and also if there is anything we can do to avoid the instrument's comfort, to aid the instrument's comfort. Sorry.
I am Ra. This instrument will require some adjustment of the tender portions of her body complex. The distortions are due to the energy center blockage you would call pineal. I leave you in the love and the light of the one infinite creator. Go forth, therefore, rejoicing in the power and the peace of the one creator Adonai.
That's the end of the Q&As, and to be honest, y'all, it's very curious that they say Carla's pineal gland has some blockage. But here we are. Plus, am I the only one who wishes that Ra had been a little more forthcoming with answers? That way, maybe Don would have moved on to some more interesting topics. I mean, it sounds to me like more than the law of one, Don wanted to write a book about the earth from beginning to end. Okay, so this brings us to the end of session 9.
Thanks for joining us today. We'll be back soon with session 10.
Later, Gators.